Hey, this is the World Advice Channel. What I want to talk about right now is there is states' rights. Now, states' rights has been a term that has been coming up consistently through American politics, whether it relates to, of course, the American Civil War, or even today about states have the right to make their own decisions instead of relying on the government. And for this video, like a lot of my political videos, I will, of course, analyze the subject and give an answer as to whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. So let's get started. So when it comes to the issue of states' rights, is it a good thing or a bad thing? The simple answer to the question is states' rights is a bad thing. Because the problem with states' rights in general, particularly when it comes to particularly big issues, especially with the fact that America has over 50 states, the truth of the matter is that the more you have different states, it's kind of like saying the more you have different people. And the more you have different people, you're clearly going to have more people who have different perspectives and views on different things. Okay. So if you have more people who have different perspectives and views on things, it's going to be a lot harder to get a lot of things resolved or fixed and all that type of stuff, to put it bluntly. Okay. Particularly in the case of, let's just say it could be a national emergency, for crying out loud. Okay. Like it could be an emergency, for crying out loud. Like, let's just say it might be okay, America isn't getting invaded, or it's just in general is going to a serious war. And it's not even like one of the BS wars that America fights. It's like a war, like, oh God, we actually have to do something, to defend our nation. Let's just say maybe it could be China is attacking, you know, you know, maybe for example Japan or something like that. And it's kind of obvious, yeah, they're probably going to attack the United States next because of the propaganda campaign or something that they're putting out there, like just a scenario I'm making up. But I think you'll get the point, okay? Like America's going to have to fight, okay? The problem with states' rights is that in states' rights in a situation like that, they can say, okay, our state, for example, is not going to require people to have to fight. If the government says, okay, we're going to have to make it mandatory, like this is not a joke, we might really have a bad situation here. Some states would say we don't have to do this, or it could be something else, a more realistic scenario like a pandemic, which would make COVID look like a joke, for crying out loud, where we might have a disease that could possibly kill 20, 30, some percent of people infected. What are we going to do then? You know, for the different states. If some states say we're going to completely shut things down, we're going to do quarantine, but quarantine like a smart way. Like they're not, going to be like dumb like the way they do it now, where they're expecting you to be like 6 feet apart. Like at least when COVID was around, they're not going to do something dumb like that. They're going to maybe say, okay, you can only be in this certain area. You can walk freely and live life normally, but only in this particular area or something, which is actually how quarantine is supposed to be done. But yeah, like that, like to make people's lives at least comfortable and enjoyable, some states might say we are not going to do that. It goes against human rights and stuff like that, and we're going to do something else. Next thing you know, the virus goes around and it kills people like wildfire. You see what I'm saying? And not to mention the complications about what about people from that state who might go to another state. Let's just say it's a state like Texas says we're not going to have these quarantine rules, and then those people go to another state, and they just kind of just screw things up. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm an example of what I'm trying to get across here. Or for any just in general major catastrophe or situation where it's not like a joke anymore, when you have so many states, you're going to have people who just can't make up their freaking mind. It's just like people, some people, just they just don't get anything right, and they're just gonna screw things up. As I'm certain anyone who knows even a little bit about history should know, some people they're just destined to screw things up. And that's what I'm kind of trying to say here. That's a problem with states' rights, is that if you do is that it makes it harder for the government to just simply say, okay, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna make sure, obviously, it's like this for the whole area, the whole nation, so everything can get resolved. You see what I'm saying? But they don't think like that, and that's a problem with states' rights, and why I don't think it really works. And I think it's flawed in general, whether it's in America or any place for that matter. So states' rights doesn't really work. It's it doesn't work to sum things up. It's just a flawed system. It is an outdated way of thinking. Or, oh well, we don't want the government to have too much power. The power will get to their head, because the world has changed a lot since the days. Things like states' rights might have made some degree of a sense. It's a lot different. We live in a lot more of a global world where where people can be from one place to another in less than a day, literally anywhere in the world in less than a day. So the truth of the matter is, with things like that, not to mention the fact that there are very more efficient ways of kind of making sure the government does not screw things up than there was back in the days. The idea that you need states' rights to make sure that they don't get in the way of democracy is outdated, and it's just kind of sounds like something a pseudo intellectual would say, if anything, at this point in history. It's outdated. It's just been used and abused so much it's not even funny, and a lot of times they have certain rules that are actually really silly and goofy, um, that just don't really make any sense. So the truth of the matter is, I just don't believe in states' rights. I think it just doesn't really make any sense, especially in a bigger scale of things. Maybe for smaller things, I don't know. Maybe, I guess you can make an exception, but for the bigger things, no, I think it's actually a bad idea and it doesn't work. And look at what it did to America in the past, and even it can do to America now. If you know, just like what they were talking about a few years ago, like Texas is going to secede from the United States and stuff. And that's what I'm kind of trying to get at here. Like, it has its flaws, it has its problems, and it can literally screw everything up. So truth be told, I don't believe in states' rights. I believe it's a flawed way of thinking, and I believe it will it will it's just problematic, because even when you look at civilizations throughout the history of the world, like whether it could be West Africa, another example could be the Native American tribes of North America, and stuff. Or it could be, if anything, the numerous tribes that made up the Philippines, so on and so forth. Whenever you have too many people making, and not one leader to really kind of put everything together, everything falls apart. Okay? Versus if you have one main leader who says, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Okay? That's what I'm trying to get across here. Okay? And I feel it's no different for America. If everyone just does their own thing, then everything's going to fall apart. So, truth be told, one leader is definitely better than a bunch of leaders. And that's my video. And this is my political beliefs on this particular issue. So, anyway, this is my video. If you like videos like this, remember to thumbs this video up and hit the subscribe button. And this is all I have to say. Hope you enjoyed the video. And simply put it, later.